If you do all of those things, then you will have an engine that is going to last you a lifetime. Hey everyone, Jake from 8020 Automotive here. Today we are talking about common problems and reliability issues with Mazda's 2.0 liter engine used in the NC Mazda Miata from 2006 through 2015. We've already covered videos on the NA 1.6 liter, the 1.8 liter, and so now we are carrying on with this series with the NCs. With the NC Miata came a big change from an engine standpoint, since Mazda went ahead and moved away from the BP engine family and now is using an engine part of the L engine family, and that is the all-aluminum 2.0 liter MZR LF-VE. Unlike the earlier BP engines, this is timing chain driven, changing up from a previous timing belt configuration, and it is also a lot more modern of an engine, and so it's not quite as basic and simple as the beloved 1.6 and 1.8 liter engines were. Before we go ahead and jump into problems and reliability, just from an overall reliability standpoint, these 2.0 liter engines are very reliable. They just don't quite have the reputation that the 1.6 and 1.8 liter engines do, and that is not necessarily from a reliability standpoint. It's more so from a maintenance and care standpoint. The 1.6 and 1.8 BP engines are known to be indestructible and bulletproof. The 2.0 is extremely reliable, but it requires a bit more maintenance and care. Those older BP engines basically just never die, no matter how much you neglect them. And on these 2.0s, you can't neglect these things, otherwise they will actually die on you. While they are highly reliable and you can easily get 200,000+ miles out of them, just understand that it just takes proper maintenance and care. So there's nothing extremely catastrophic on these engines. You just need to be a little bit more careful, predominantly with oil levels. We're gonna go ahead and jump into that now with our list of common problems. The first common problem and biggest issue on the NC Miatas with the 2.0 liter engine is going to be oil consumption. The BP engines also suffered from oil consumption, but the difference is on these NCs, it can start to occur very early, almost as early as the 60 to 80,000 mile mark, whereas on the BP engines, you typically didn't see that until you were getting close to the 200,000 mile mark. And so oil consumption is a big issue, and it's not uncommon to burn a quart of oil every 1,000 miles. And a lot of this comes down to two things. One is going to be because of the design of the piston rings, and then second is going to be because of the oil service intervals that Mazda went ahead and used on these engines. Mazda changed the service interval from 5,000 miles to 7,500 miles. So one of the biggest things that I can stress from a maintenance standpoint is just doing your oil changes every 5,000 miles instead of every 7,500, and that should help keep the piston rings in better condition and help prevent oil consumption from becoming a problem. Now, oil consumption doesn't generally have any negative consequences to it unless you let the engine run too low on oil. The issue that you ultimately end up having is if you're burning a quart every 1,000 miles, but your oil change interval is 7,500, if you are not topping it up with oil frequently and consistently in between oil changes, it's very easy to run extremely low on oil. And guess what? These engines don't even hold 7.5 quarts of oil. So if you're burning that much oil, it is extremely easy to burn through all of it and ultimately lead to significant overheating and internal engine problems. Moving on to the second problem on the list is going to be the timing chain tensioner. Like I mentioned, these engines moved from a timing belt to a timing chain, which generally are lifetime chains. They usually don't need to be changed over the lifetime of an engine, but on these engines, the timing chain tensioner is known to fail, and ultimately what happens is the chain loses tension, and so then it can go ahead and jump teeth and then throw the engine's timing completely off. And this is not an interference engine, so if you have the tensioner fail, it's not going to lead to any serious internal engine damage, but you will throw timing off and need to then go ahead and replace the tensioner. So just a heads up there, because the timing chain tensioner is a very common failure point. Third on the list is going to be the PCV system and oil blow blow by. The PCV system ultimately causes additional oil consumption, and it also increases crankcase pressures. And this is ultimately caused by the PCV valve getting gunked up. So it's good maintenance to go ahead and replace the PCV valve or clean it and make sure that it's operating properly, just since that can worsen some of your oil consumption issues. And it can also help lead to things like gasket failure and oil leaks because of the added crankcase pressures. Fourth on our list, common across all Mazda Miatas, is going to be issues with the ignition coils and the ignition system. The ignition coils are known to fail a little bit more frequently than you might see on other vehicles, and so this is more so a common maintenance item once you start getting up to higher mileage levels, but just something to be aware of. Fifth on our list is going to be the cooling system. The radiator was actually changed to an all aluminum design for the NC, so these Miatas don't experience radiator failure like the NA and NBs do, which is a fantastic thing, but you still have some issues with the radiator hoses, with the water pump as well. And so just be cautious of the hoses and the water pump as these engines get older and to higher mileage, since it is common to start seeing some coolant leaks developing from those areas. And then lastly, 6 on my list here is not an issue with the engine, but an issue with the clutch if you have a manual NC Miata, and that is going to be with the clutch hydraulics. The slave cylinder is known to fail very frequently. It's a very common problem. Again, not engine related, but just something to know with the NC Miatas, that the slave cylinder on manual transmissions is a common failure point. So that covers it for all of our problems on the NC Miata and the 2.0 liter engine that was used in it. As you can see from that list, there really is nothing catastrophic on it. And so when we talk about these engines from a reliability standpoint, like I mentioned, they are still extremely reliable. They just generally aren't considered bulletproof or indestructible because they do require a little bit more care and maintenance, predominantly from an oil standpoint. The most important thing is making sure that you always have enough oil in the engine and doing your oil changes a bit more frequently than the 7,500 mile recommended service interval from Mazda. If you do all of those things, then you will have an engine that is going to last you a lifetime. That wraps things up for problems and reliability with the NC Miatas. If you guys appreciate this video, please click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned because we have a lot more Miata content coming.